Hey everyone! Welcome to your channel name, the place where learning English becomes simple, fun, and exciting. If you're ready to upgrade your English and change your future, hit that subscribe button. And let's start this amazing journey together. The boy named Albert did not fit. Not in the bustling, structured world of late 19th century Munich, and certainly not in the rigid, authoritarian schoolrooms, where knowledge was a cage of dates and names to be memorized, not a key to a wider universe. While other boys kicked balls and shouted, little Albert sat in silence, his head tilted, lost in a world no one else could see. His teachers, frustrated by his lack of rote learning and his infuriating habit of asking questions that had no textbook answers, declared him a daydreamer, a slow learner. They did not see the vast, shimmering cosmos unfolding behind his deep, dark eyes. His rebellion was not loud. It was a quiet, internal act of non-compliance. He found solace in the quiet hum of his father's electrical workshop, a place of wires and sparks that made more sense than history lessons. He was given a compass by his father at the age of 5, and the unwavering dedication of the needle to point north became a profound mystery. It was a silent, invisible force, a force that acted from a distance, and this simple observation sparked a fire of curiosity that would never be extinguished. It was the first inkling that the world, so solid and mundane on the surface, was governed by a deeper, unseen reality. As a young man, he escaped the German academic machine, failing the entrance exam to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich on his first try, a testament to his well-documented struggles with subjects outside of physics and math. He eventually gained admission and found in Zurich a different kind of freedom. He was still a loner, but here, in the intellectually vibrant atmosphere of the university, his solitude was a fertile ground. He skipped lectures that bored him, devouring instead the works of Maxwell, Kant, and Hume. He spent his days in the physics library, a sanctuary of ideas, and his nights in a small, cluttered apartment where the only thing he truly cared about was his work. His violin, a constant companion, provided a musical counterpoint to the silent symphonies of his mind. The music of Bach and Mozart was to him a reflection of the same beautiful order he sought in the laws of nature. After graduation, he was met with the harsh reality that his unconventional education had made him an undesirable candidate for a university post. So, at the age of 26, he found himself a patent clerk in Bern, a quiet, methodical job that required him to evaluate the inventions of others. The irony was not lost on him. While he reviewed blueprints for improved electrical machinery and new types of typewriters, his own mind was building worlds. The Bern Patent Office was not a prison, but a cocoon. Its rigid schedule and mundane tasks were a perfect foil for his wild, unrestrained imagination. His colleagues saw a diligent, if a little quirky, employee. They did not know that his most important work was not on the desk in front of him, but on scraps of paper in his pocket. These scraps held the scribbled equations of a man wrestling with the very fabric of existence. He would walk to work each day, pondering what it would be like to ride on a beam of light. A simple question, but one that contained the seeds of a revolution. And then came 1905, his annus mirabilis, or miracle year. A year that would change the world of physics forever. In a span of just a few months, from the quiet confines of his patent office, He published 4 papers that seemed to have been delivered from a future a century away. The first explained the photoelectric effect, proposing that light was not a continuous wave, but a stream of discrete particles called quanta, a radical idea that earned him the Nobel Prize years later. The second provided a theoretical explanation for Brownian motion, proving the existence of atoms and molecules. The third laid the foundation for his special theory of relativity, forever linking space and time. And the fourth, a mere footnote to the third, contained a simple, elegant equation that would come to symbolize the dawn of a new age. E equals mc2. The papers were received with a mixture of confusion and cautious interest. The scientific community, steeped in the Newtonian tradition of absolute space and time, was slow to accept such radical notions. Einstein, still a patent clerk, was largely ignored by the establishment. He continued his work, but the initial burst of genius was met with years of struggle for recognition. His theories were not easy to prove. They were too grand, too abstract. He was not a showman or a charismatic speaker. He was a quiet man who spent his time in thought experiments, imagining trains and elevators moving through the cosmos. But the intellectual current was shifting. A new generation of physicists was drawn to his work, seeing in it a profound beauty and a deeper truth about the universe. A turning point came in 1919. A solar eclipse provided the perfect opportunity to test one of the key predictions of his general theory of relativity: that gravity warps not just matter, but space itself, causing light from distant stars to bend around the sun. Sir Arthur Eddington, a British astronomer, led an expedition to observe the eclipse. As the moon's shadow fell across the sun, cameras clicked, and the positions of stars near the eclipsed sun were carefully measured. The results were conclusive. The stars had shifted exactly as Einstein had predicted. The news broke like a thunderclap. An English newspaper, The Times, ran the headline, "Revolution in Science, New Theory of the Universe, Newtonian Ideas Overthrown." Overnight, the quiet, solitary dreamer from Bern became the most famous scientist in the world. He was a rock star of the mind, his name on everyone's lips. Suddenly, he was no longer an outsider. He was invited to lecture at the world's most prestigious universities, mobbed by reporters wherever he went. People wanted to know about his theories. But more than that, they wanted to know about him. They were captivated by his wild hair, his rumpled clothes, his gentle humor, and his profound wisdom. He was an icon of genius, a symbol of the triumph of human intellect. But fame was a mixed blessing. He detested the limelight and found the constant public attention an intrusion. His personal life was complex and at times tumultuous. He divorced his first wife, Mileva Maric, a brilliant physicist in her own right, and later married his cousin, Elsa Lowenthal. He was a father, but not always a present one. Consumed by the universe in his mind, he spent the latter half of his life pursuing the grandest of all quests, a unified field theory, a single, elegant equation that would explain all the fundamental forces of nature. It was a search that would ultimately prove fruitless, a journey of brilliant missteps. While the rest of the physics community moved on to the strange quantum world of the very small, Einstein remained a stubborn classicist. uncomfortable with the probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics. His famous quote, "God does not play dice with the universe," captured his intellectual frustration. As the political landscape of Europe darkened in the 1930s, he, a German Jew, was forced to flee his homeland. He settled in Princeton, New Jersey, at the Institute for Advanced Study, where he would spend the rest of his days in quiet contemplation. He was no longer at the forefront of the new physics, but his presence was a moral beacon. He was a tireless advocate for peace and justice, speaking out against war and oppression. He used his fame not for personal gain, but to champion humanitarian causes. His words carried immense weight, and he used them to plead for international cooperation and a world free from conflict. In his final years, he was a living monument to an extraordinary life. The man who had once been an academic failure and a patent clerk was now a global legend. He passed away in 1955, leaving behind a legacy that transcended science. The man who saw the universe not as a fixed stage, but as a dynamic, interconnected dance of space, time, and matter, had shown humanity a glimpse of a deeper reality. His was a life of quiet rebellion, of profound curiosity, and of a relentless pursuit of the simple, beautiful truths that govern everything. He had once said, "The most incomprehensible thing about the universe is that it is comprehensible." He, more than anyone, had dedicated his life to proving it. The solitary dreamer, the rebel with a compass, had shown the world the elegant, beautiful logic hidden just beneath the surface of reality. He had left the world a little less mysterious, a little more wondrous, and a little more in awe of the sheer power of an idea.